Morning, Cowboy Jim, Northern Alberta, little town called Fort McMurray. Well known all across Canada as a place you can go to find work if there's no work in your own area. And we have thousands and thousands of people from the East Coast up here making an unbelievable living in the oil sands. It's quite wonderful. So, my neighbor sent me a text last night at 2:45, which of course I slept right through. And this morning, when I got up, I saw that she had called and or texted, and she said, "Your truck alarm is going off." Well, uh, hey, I go to sleep, and I do live alone, and I have this relationship with the Lord that necessitates marriage vows or the deepest level of love. That, anyways, you understand what I'm saying. Okay, hey, I'll try to stick on the trail. Um, I went out, of course, and I checked on my truck this morning, and I checked on the security systems that I have in place. You see, my old Dodge is a 01 Cummins standard, 1 ton dually, black, big, tall, ugly, huge tires, all that. Um, I was concerned about that truck for several years since a supposed friend stole a set of keys for it, and even a little more concerned after when the door lock uh, looked like he had tried a screwdriver on it when his keys that I had gone to the effort to change the locking system on the door wouldn't work. He had a bad attitude, that dude, and narcissistic, and mm, I think spiritually demon possessed. But anyways, so last night my alarm on the truck went off, and and I have been blessed by the God of the Bible uh, to be coming 76 in October. And that means that I have a world of stories if I can remember them. And I do. And I pray to God what I remember is the way that it happened. And I checked my truck and told the neighbor she and her husband they sleep later than I do, and I said next time just dial me, just call me, and I'll go and do what I do because uh, I have done it before. And I remember back in maybe 1971 or two, and um, my wife of the day, the mother of my two sons, and good woman. We kind of since went in different directions. It happened, and I awakened at 3 in the morning, and my wife was yelling at the front door of the house that I'd built, and nice house, and um, she was screaming, and I come out of bed, and she was saying someone is in the car. And then she was saying, and I was running straight to the gun cabinet. You could do that back then, and uh, she was saying, "He's taking the car." And so I grabbed the first rifle and three or four shells, and lo and behold, uh, I booted her straight up the stairs from the basement because I'd gone past my wife. She was kind of on the front steps, and she is just yelling. And I grabbed the artillery, headed back up, and went past her. And dear Lord God in heaven, wasn't that 74 um, Monte Carlo, uh, a burgundy in color, swivel bucket seats, no less? Wasn't that thing backing out to drive? And I just ran off the steps. I dove straight across the hood, right onto the hood as the car was backing up, and I yelled as loud as I could. I can yell. I don't scream, okay? There's no pussy sound coming out of the old cowboy, okay? But I yell. And I yelled, I said, stop. And that guy stealing our cute little car, thank God it wasn't my Corvette. But anyways, um, he just turned around and about 17 inches away from his face, I had my little 303 rifle pointed right at his head. He stopped the car. He hadn't gotten very far, so thanks to my wife's yelling, I was up and running pretty quickly. And, um, I yelled, okay. I said, stop the car, get out. And, uh, and I said, lay on the ground. And all the while, I was following him with my 303, which incidentally, uh, I had picked three 6.5 shells up, and I couldn't get them shoved in the 303, which was kind of good actually. Because when things are going down, you sometimes get excited, all that stuff. So he stretched out on the ground beside the door, and the car had only backed up about 10 foot. So, thanks to my wife of the day, good woman, by the way, uh, and I gentled myself off the hood and stood uh, where he was laying on the ground, and I leaned back against the car. And much to my surprise, my rear end got real cold. And well, I took a look down. I didn't have a stitch of clothes on, and this thief, he is rummaging around and getting rid of his drugs, burying them in the gravel of the driveway and so on like that. This is so much fun. Oh, thank God for memories, and thank God most of them are real good. And my neighbor next door, uh, he was my friend, and his lady, nice lady. We attended the same church back then, and she was a piano player and a good woman. And with all the uproar, uh, she opened the door or the window to their master bedroom, which was right at the corner where my car was being stolen. And she looked out. Well, we had a good yard light, and I was standing there buck naked, except for my boots that I'd put my work boots on, and thank God, gravel driveway and all. And I said to her, I said, could you get his name was Jim. I said, could you get Jim to come over and hold the rifle on this guy while I get some clothes on? She said, yes. I'm telling you, the yard light was pretty good. Okay. She was a nurse. Well, she was looking at what God had given me. Uh, I mean, I mean, it was no more impressive than. I mean, she was a nurse, so she had gotten to see a lot of okay, male members, let's say, but she wasn't in a rush. I said her name. I said woman. I'm serious now. Okay, you got to get your husband up. Well, he was already up, and he came over, and I was still buck naked, and I wasn't leaving the dude on the ground. Okay, I caught him fair and square. Thanks to my wife. Okay, and and anyways, I just so love these videos because it's a privilege and an honor and an opportunity to show you the difference between today's law and order and the law and order back in the 70s. Okay, so I went in and got dressed, and my wife, I told her, you call the cops and get them to come out, and she did, and finally the nurse next door, uh, Bev, got to say her name, okay, because it was so funny. She finally got her head out of the window, and her husband he took over and all that stuff. Well, the difference between law and order today compared to then is best demonstrated in this manner. It didn't take um, 20 minutes. I'd gotten some clothes on. I took over the rifle that wouldn't work, wrong bullets, and my friend stood there as well, and the OPP, uh, uh, law and order. Uh, I appreciated them, and I really did. Back then, we respected officers of the law. Uh, I don't know of anyone who respects the RCMP of today. I don't. I wished I did. I wished that the weaponization by the federal liberal government had not taken place uh, to do with the Freedom Convoy. I respected those boys. I stayed with them for a few days down at the Coots, Montana border. Anyways, this is what happened. This is the difference between law and order. Uh, Ontario OPP came, lights on. They I had gone to the back of the Monte Carlo, and they drove in, and I held the rifle above my head, and I gently laid it on the trunk. And then I stepped away from it, and I kept my hands above my head. Both officers got out. I mean, they they didn't, have microphones to tell you what to do and all this crap. And they took the fellow into custody, and they didn't take my rifle. They didn't ask me any stupid questions that the RCMP do nowadays. I mean, they didn't. And and so my car was safe. The guy laying on the ground was in custody, and he had stolen another car and ran it into a tree about 400 yards down the road, and came back to get mine. And thanks to my wife, who back in those days, you didn't take the keys out of your vehicles. I mean, you just didn't. It was unnecessary. And because who stole? Well, evidently a few did. Okay. So A few months later, it came that the policeman dropped into the little shop I ran in Elmville, and he said, "Could you come down to the courthouse because that guy's on trial today?" I said, "Sure." And I had a helper. I turned the running of the business over to her. She's a nice lady, Dutch girl, big girl, but uh, good lady. I went down to the courthouse and walked in and sat down, and of course you take your cowboy hat off, and the judge behind the counter, up on his wonderful little stand, he swore me in. I had to get up and get in that chair or behind the, you know how it is, and he swore me in, and they handed me a Bible to swear on. Well, they send a Bible very close to me, and I'm not going to let it go easy. And so I should have said, you know, in James it says chapter 4, I believe, or something. Don't swear on anything, but rather just let your yea be yea and your nay nay, and that sort of thing. But hey, I don't impose my belief systems on others. It's not my right. And so the court officer went to reach for the Bible. I didn't know. I just hold on to it. And so while the defense attorney was just going for getting this blessed car thief off, uh, I just thumbed through the Bible. And you know, the Bible looked half worn out on the outside, but I don't think there was a single time anyone had read the inside. Okay, so I answered all the questions that the defense attorney was giving me. I'm not sure how long I was in that chair beside the judge, but to me, it was wild. I do have a sense of humor that no one understands, and neither do I. Not a lick. No, I can't tell what's funny until after I've said it and thought about it for a couple of days, and that's the way it is. And the defense attorney, he said, "Mr. Martin, oh, he is a jerk, but he is doing his job. He is getting a criminal off." And he said, "Mr. Martin, do you normally run around the neighborhood at 3 in the morning pointing rifles at people?" I just looked at him. I thought, "You dummy." I said, "Sir, when it appears that someone," because you couldn't say they were stealing because he hadn't been convicted yet. I said, "When it appears that someone is stealing your car and you're standing there buck naked, you want to have something pretty heavy in your hand." Well, the defense attorney's face turned beet red. The whole courtroom broke up and laughed. The defense attorney said, "No further questions." Judge said, "Thank you." I said, "Sir, you're welcome." And I got to sit back down in my chair at the front of the courtroom. Oh, the place was loaded. Like everybody came to court day just to see what was going on, and the older people were all bored, so they just wanted to watch. And uh, they sent that boy, 30-year-old jerk, off to jail for a few months. I thought it was 3 or 4 months, but well, I mean, back then, you didn't get bail. You got caught, you stayed in jail. Okay, that's the way it was back then, called law and order. And uh, judge said, "Mr. Martin." I stood up. He said, "Mr. Martin, I am proud to call you my neighbor. I looked at him and I thought, I had heard that a judge lived over across the Cedar Swamp, down on the shore of Georgian Bay, and he was only, 300, 400. I don't. He might have been 300 or 400 yards away. He said, "Mr. Martin, I want you to know that I am glad you're neighbor. You're my neighbor. I am glad that you're out there paying attention and that you're going to work with law and order." And he said, "Well done. Well done." I said, "Sir, thank you." How has law and order changed in Canada? It's been weaponized by the federal liberal government. Oh, pray to God, Alberta is set free. And this is how it's changed. Some years ago, about four, I worked for a company here in Fort Mac. They were a subcontracting company, and uh, I had a lot of trouble with a guy who hated me, and he drained the oil out of my Dodge, stole a handgun, shotgun, two crossbows, and I reported it. Our CMP didn't care. They didn't care. I I did a video and I said to the one officer on the video, I said, you're going to get paid whether you do your job or not. I said, I wish you'd do your job. Well, anyways, this fat boy, quite a bit bigger than me, uh, he was out to get me at work. I knew that. I told two of the site supers what he had done to me. Uh, you see, I was told you can't fight. If you fight, you will be fired. And I talked that over with the Lord for quite a bit. This is in one of the main mines, but it was a subcontractor, and this happened right in the mine. And I told the Lord, I said, I was taught how to fight. Hey, I fought in the Canadian Championship in judo in 1970, but my instructor taught me too much. And he had been an OSS or something like that in England. What a wonderful man. He taught me how to defend myself with my hands. That was a little bit beyond normal training. And I was just a kid. But anyways, I told the head guy at our company, I said, if you could move me to a different facet, a different mine with the same company, I would appreciate it. He said, why? I told him. He said, no, I'm not. And I thought, I, I was told, and I'm gullible enough to believe what I'm told until I find out that what I'm told is wrong, that bullying was not allowed. And, but it is, because it's kind of like the RCMP of Canada, Alberta, Fort Mac. They're going to get paid whether they do their job or not. And I said to the Lord, I said, they're not moving me. And the Lord said, I'm moving you on. I said, okay, but don't you dare let me get fired. Okay. I don't want that. And he said, I won't. You see, people think it's stupid to talk to God, what is called praying. uh, and expect an answer. Hey, hey, I think it would be stupid to talk to God and not expect an answer. I mean, why would you be talking to him if you didn't expect an answer? Anyways, I told God, I said, don't, I said, that guy's out to get me. Uh, I said, don't let him punch me in the face, because if he punches me in the face, I'll take his throat out, uh, just with my thumb. My judo instructor had taught me really good. So I have to be careful in self defense because I know how to defend myself. It's a good thing I'm 76 come October. Okay, listen here. I got out of the bus that brought us from the front gate to the lay down of the company, and I'm not telling you the name of the company. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to shame them. They did that enough themselves. I don't have to. I don't have an axe to grind. So I got out of the bus that one night, the last night that I was allowed on the company payroll and to work for them. And here comes that fat boy, bully, yelling and screaming from across the parking lot. What? 34, 33 years of age. And back then I was about 71, maybe, might have been 72. And he was fat. There's no doubt. He's probably fatter now, but he was big. And he was screaming. I stopped and looked at him as I walked the wooden cat platform walkway back to the side doors of that company I worked for. And he said, "Come on, tough guy, take your best shot." And he knew my martial arts experience. Also, he knew I was not too very tall, and I'm Irish and uh, somewhat capable, okay, of handling stuff. And I looked at him and I thought, you dummy, you think you're going to suck me into that crap? I'm not going to hit you. I'll defend myself and then I'll hit you. And then I thought, I can't. I can't defend myself. So I walked down that sidewalk, wooden sidewalk, to the side doors of that company and that good mine, good mine. The mine owners are good. Some of the subcontractors could do better. And I said to God, I said, is there no way to make him lose his mind? Because I was firmly convinced he was demon possessed, okay, which is, if you know scripture, is quite a common happening even today, though the doctors medicate that rather than creatures exercising those demons. So I walked up the stairs. This dude, it's quite a challenge, to have someone walking behind you and breathing over your shoulder, who's screaming at you. And I walked up the steps, and then it came to me what I had to do. So I reached out, I grabbed the door, I almost stepped through it before God showed me what God, wanted me to do. And so I opened the door and I stepped back out of his way and let him go ahead, screaming as he was. And he stopped and he drove me straight into the edge of the door. And then he grabbed me, but he hadn't punched me in the face. Okay, that was the condition that God and I had. Anyways, when it was all said and done, I had broken ribs. And Yeah, he pushed me so hard and he punched me, and the ribs were broken down below my shoulder blade. And, uh, but he had also beat on my shoulder, so the soft tissue was screaming. Not at the moment, but 20 minutes later. Anyways, when all was said and done, they got that fat prick uh, on video. Okay, the company did, and they fired him that night. And they took me to the hospital, and I had X-rays. And but a week later, I still had what I thought were broken ribs because I've had a lot of them. Okay, and a lot of broken bones mm, because gravity and I don't get along. And horses, it didn't matter if they were plow horses, they still bucked me off anytime they chose. Anyways, they fired him that night. The RCMP picked him up, and at the gate, I was in the hospital. My X-rays said there were no broken ribs or bones in my shoulder. Well, a week later, um, I still felt um, something was wrong. So I went back to the hospital. I had X-rays. This time, I told them, "Listen, uh, last week, uh, the soft tissue in my shoulder was hurting, but now it's something below my shoulder blade." They took new X-rays, and I had a couple of broken ribs. Um, Law and order. I walked out of the hospital and I phoned that detective who had arrested that twit the night that I and God let him beat the hell out of me. And I didn't think there was that much hell that needed to be beat out, but anyways, it was apparently. And I told that officer, I said, I just had X-rays, and uh, they found broken ribs. Um, I said, um, I just wanted him to know. I didn't know they were going to change the assault charges to assault with bodily harm. A higher level rate of evidence must needs be evidenced in order to get a conviction. But, anyways, doesn't matter. That officer immediately phoned the hospital and said, did Jim Martin have broken ribs from his assault? And they would have gone right on the computer. And the first x rays, there were no broken ribs. But the second x rays, there were. Well, that officer didn't say a thing to me. He was convinced that I didn't have broken ribs. Um, the district attorney, I didn't find out about this until the day, a year and a half later, that I went to court to witness against that fat boy. And I hope it irritates him, me calling him that, because he deserves that degradation. And and they called me into the special little conference room with the district attorney lady, and she said, "You lied to us." I looked at her. I didn't say a word. She said, "You lied when you said you had broken ribs, because we phoned as soon as you called and you didn't have broken ribs." And I thought, "You stupid woman." Nothing against women, but I thought, "You stupid woman. You condemn me for lying, and I'm the victim." That's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police of today. Remember what the OPP and the judge back 1970. Things have changed. I didn't say a word. She said, I am not going to prosecute that man because you lied. She didn't ask me if I had lied. I I truly do try not to. A person can unintentionally misrepresent the truth. I don't make a practice of that. Anyways, she said, the only thing you're going to get out of this court is a 1 year restraining order on him. And I thought, you stupid woman. What does a restraining order do? But that's what they gave him. I didn't even hang around to watch the rest of the trial. I just left. I thought, law and order. Officers, members of the court system, they're going to get paid whether they do their job or not. Anyways, um, I know there are good officers in the legal system in Alberta. I hope the new sheriff's department that Danielle Smith is making, I hope there are more good officers who believe you. Anyways, I thought, well, so much for that. But I remembered back a week after that assault, and the head guy at my company that I worked for called me just before I was coming back to work, just before my shift. And he said, Jim, I said, sir. He said, Jim, I said, you have never called me. He said, Jim, I said, sir, are you going to fire me? He said, no, I can't. Didn't mean he didn't want to. I said, are you laying me off? He said, no, I can't. I said, you're not going to ban me from the site, are you? He said, no, I can't. I said, but you don't want me to come back to work, do you? He said, no, Jim, please don't come back to work. You've been through too much. Well, ahead. Justice. I did a video called Justice. You ought to watch that. That's what we had back when I was an 11-year-old kid. Um, that company, I said, you don't want me? They said, please don't come back to work. I didn't. Should have. Do you know what they did with that dozer operator who had assaulted me and had been fired, had been picked up by the RCMP at the front gate? Do you know what that company did a few days later? They didn't want me to come back to work. They called him and asked him, the one who had assaulted me, if he would go to work for their company, for the same company we both worked for in another mine. He did. I looked for work. He got rewarded. The legal system has changed since I was a kid. Well, it is what it is. I'm not going to whine and complain. I just say it like it is. So if you want justice, and again, I say you should look up justice on my Cowboy Jim YouTube channel. It may be on Cowboy Jim YouTube, on TikTok as well. But anyways, we are where we are in the history of law and order. That's the way it is. If you want justice, I look for justice. The only place you're going to find justice is before the God of the Bible. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. Because God will not put up with sin. Thus, he had to have Jesus willingly go and suffer, bleed, and die on the cross for your sin and mine. I'm not angry. I don't feel sorry for myself. Uh, I really don't. Will I ever take another beating from a coworker in order to hold on to my job? Not a hope in hell. Is that ever going to happen again? I choose to believe in the God of the Bible, and I've humbled myself and prayed when I was a baby child. I remember I was 9 the first time I realized that God had a son who suffered, bled, and died on the cross. And since then, I learned there's a nice prayer if you want to be at peace with God. Just say, God, forgive me. I choose to believe Jesus Christ is your son, that he suffered, bled, and died on the cross for my sins. I'm so sorry for having lived the way I have. Help me to be what you want me to be. You want justice? You may find justice within the RCMP from some officers, but justice it's changed. The victim is guilty until proven innocent by the victim. The perpetrator is innocent until proven guilty. So, where's justice? The victim should not have to prove their innocence. The guilty should have to prove their innocence. This is where we are, and can't do anything about it. And you sure don't want to become bitter about it, because that's a waste of breath. But you can pray about it. I have, and I know someday the God of the Bible will bring justice to that. And know this, God cannot abide sin. And that was a hate crime against me because that demon possessed evil man, dozer operator, hated me and everything about my testimony and everything about my life. And that company, they didn't give a rat's ass. Doesn't mean it wasn't a hate crime. God bless you all. Take care. Cowboy Jim over and out. You're looking for justice? I hope we will find it in the new police force that our wonderful little firebrand down Edmonton Way, Calgary, Edmonton, Danielle Smith is setting up. Reason she's setting up a new police service is because the old one, RCMP, it doesn't work anymore at all. God bless you all. Take care. Hey, I'm not bitter. I hope you understand that. Our only hope for justice is the God of the Bible. I remember reading as a kid a scripture. It said, you need not fear the policeman, old King James, if you have done nothing wrong. I'm telling you, times have changed. You bloody well want to fear the policeman, not because you have done anything wrong, but because if you're a victim, you're guilty until you can prove you're not. If you are a criminal, you're innocent until proven guilty. Well, that's stupid. God bless you all. Take care. Over and out from Cowboy Jim Fort McMurray. Y'all take care and God bless. Thank you.